Why would a caravan carrying tons of drugs dare to cross U.S. territory in broad daylight? July 12, 2025, 11:12 a.m. In the scorching heat of the Arizona desert, a convoy of 19 armored trucks rumbled toward the border. Inside their reinforced compartments were more than 7.2 tons of drugs, a shipment worth more than $420 million, enough to poison millions of lives. Escorted by more than 80 armed gunmen, it was a display of arrogance, a broad-eyed challenge to America itself. But what the cartel believed was a safe route had been mapped out to the meter, tracked from the air, and sealed on the ground. For 7 days, America's most elite units waited silently, their trap hidden between cliffs and sand. And yet, even the most perfect plan nearly collapsed. One failure, one spark of doubt, and the entire ambush was on the brink of collapse. What happened next turned a canyon into a furnace, and left behind horrifying figures that 11:12 a.m., July 12, 2025. The southern Arizona desert shook beneath the relentless roar of engines. Through waves of heat, a steel serpent of 19 armored trucks tore across the sand, their black frames flashing in the merciless sun. This was no ordinary smuggling run. Packed inside reinforced compartments lay 7.2 tons of narcotics, enough poison to flood entire cities, enough profit to bring in over $420 million on the U.S. market. Every vehicle was fortified for war. The lead trucks carried 50 caliber machine guns, barrels sweeping side to side like predators marking their territory. In the cabins and flatbeds, over 80 gunmen sat with weapons slung across their chests, shouting into radios, convinced the road ahead had been cleared by their bosses in Mexico. The cartel's message was clear. They could roll openly, in daylight, on American soil, and nothing could stop them. But they were wrong. High above, invisible against the blazing sky, an MQ-9 Reaper drone loitered at 26,000 feet, watching every move. Its thermal sensors tracked each engine block glowing like fire, each brake light flicker, each radio transmission bouncing desperately across the desert. Every detail flowed back to the command center at Davis-Monthan Air Force Base, where 12 screens displayed a real-time 3D map of the kill zone. The convoy thought they were ghosts in the sand. In reality, they were already boxed in. Their speed, their spacing, even the weight of each load had been measured and logged to the second. To the cartel, the border was just ahead. To the Americans, it was already sealed shut. They weren't crossing into safety. They were driving into a canyon chosen with surgical precision, where every escape route was gone before the first tire touched the dirt. What do you think about the cartel convoy's reckless move? Leave your thoughts below. For 7 days prior, SEAL reconnaissance teams crawled the canyon ridges, marking firing positions with infrared paint only visible through special optics. Beneath the sand, M18A1 Claymore mines were buried in staggered layers, their firing wires snaked to hidden positions above. Seismic sensors were planted to register every vibration of the cartel's engines. By the time the convoy entered, the canyon was a cage, 600 meters long, 40 meters high, and only wide enough for 2 trucks to pass. Above, an AC-130J Ghost Rider circled silently, its 30mm and 105mm cannons already locked, flares and laser-guided rounds waiting in their chambers. On the ridges, 160 SEAL operators lay prone, rifles steadied, scopes glowing green in the Arizona heat. Every detail had been calculated: the choke point, the timing, the angles of fire. And then, the plan nearly collapsed. At 11:23 a.m., as the first 3 trucks rolled past the seismic line, one of the Claymore circuits failed to arm. On a UAV feed, a red warning flashed across the command center screens. Simultaneously, a gunman in the second truck spotted an unnatural glint on the cliff face, sunlight bouncing off a suppressed barrel. His voice cracked over the radio, shouting in Spanish. For a split second, everything hung by a thread. If the alarm spread, 19 vehicles and more than 80 armed men would open fire into the canyon, pinning the SEALs in their own trap. One operator, inches from the faulty detonator, crawled forward under the scorching sun. With steady hands, he reconnected the line, forcing the circuit live just seconds before the cartel's suspicions hardened. The glint faded. The warning vanished. The box was sealed once again. The kill zone held. Support the channel with a subscription and keep watching to see the ambush begin. 11:29 a.m. The canyon swallowed the convoy whole. One by one, all 19 armored vehicles slithered into the narrow throat of rock, steel tracks grinding against gravel. On the command screen at Davis-Monthan, red dots lined up in perfect formation, the serpent trapped inside its box. Hold. Hold. Now. The first blast ripped the silence apart. M18A1 Claymore mines erupted in a thunderclap, spewing thousands of steel balls across the lead trucks. Tires shredded instantly. Windshields burst. Two gunners manning 50 caliber machine guns were torn from their mounts, bodies flung like ragdolls into the dust. The echoes still rolled when the night sky weapon of choice, flown here in daylight, struck. From 10,000 feet above, the AC-130J Ghost Rider unleashed its 30mm Bushmaster cannon. Tracer rounds streaked down like molten rain, puncturing armor, shattering cabins, turning steel into flame. Chaos. Cartel gunmen scrambled from truck beds, some firing blindly into the cliffs. Others dived into dry ditches, choking on smoke and dust. But the canyon walls erupted with answering fire. 160 SEAL operators opened up in perfect unison. M4A1 rifles cracked with suppressed precision. Scar H's punched holes clean through armored doors. Every muzzle flash from below was answered by three above. At the rear, a pickup tried to reverse, ramming into the truck behind it. Engines screamed, metal twisted, but the exit was already sealed. From the sky came the whistle of a laser-guided shell. It slammed into the mid-convoy weapons carrier, igniting its cargo in a single violent chain reaction. The blast tore through the canyon, consuming 3 vehicles at once. Flames leapt 40 feet, heat scorching the very rock, forcing SEALs to duck deeper into their firing alcoves. A small squad of gunmen rallied, dragging an RPG-7 launcher onto the roof of a Ford. The tube rose shakily toward the ridge, but before it fired, a 7.62mm MP7 round punched through the shooter's shoulder. The warhead slipped, detonating at their feet. The explosion killed 3 instantly, scattering burning fragments across the dirt. The canyon was no longer a road, it was a furnace. Within 7 minutes, half the convoy lay smoking, twisted wrecks. Screams mingled with the roar of automatic fire, with the hiss of burning narcotics spilling from ruptured containers. What began as a confident daylight push had collapsed into a slaughterhouse of sand and steel. The trap had sprung shut, and there would be no escape. The battle is getting fiercer. Stay tuned to see what happens next. 11:36 a.m. The canyon had become a killing ground. Flames and smoke rolled upward, black plumes blotting out the sky. The acrid stench of burning narcotics, chemicals, and diesel fused into a choking haze. The convoy, once a column of arrogance, was now a battlefield of wreckage. Cartel fighters scattered in desperation. Some tried climbing the rocky slopes, their hands clawing at the cliff walls, only to be cut down by sniper fire from above. Others regrouped behind twisted hulls of their trucks, firing AK-47 bursts blindly into the ridges. But every muzzle flash painted a target. 2 SEAL snipers with Mk13 Mod 7 rifles ended them one by one, rounds striking with surgical precision at ranges over 800 meters. The Ghost Rider above roared back into action. Its 105mm howitzer thundered, sending shockwaves that rattled the canyon floor. A single shell reduced a Cartel command truck to a crater of fire, killing at least 9 men in seconds. The gunship shifted instantly, spitting bursts from its 30mm cannon to pin down scattered survivors. By now, 12 of the 19 vehicles were either burning or immobilized. Steel twisted, rubber shredded, glass shards littered the dirt like ice. The air temperature near the wrecks spiked past 1200 degrees Fahrenheit, forcing Cartel gunmen to abandon cover and sprint into open ground. None made it more than a dozen steps. In the chaos, one Cartel lieutenant attempted a breakout. He jumped into a Ford Raptor near the convoy's middle, slammed the accelerator, and rammed through wreckage. The vehicle clawed forward, dragging flames in its wake. For a moment, it seemed he might punch through. Then a Reaper drone, circling silently, dropped a AGM-114 Hellfire missile. The strike was instant. A blinding flash, a detonation that vaporized the Raptor, leaving nothing but a crater and fragments raining down like shrapnel. The resistance grew weaker by the minute. Gunmen fired pistols and shotguns, weapons pitiful against the combined fury of air and ground. One SEAL team advanced down the eastern ridge, moving methodically, flash suppressors glowing as they swept the canyon. Short bursts, controlled fire, every target dropped. At 11:47 a.m., just 18 minutes after the first blast, the canyon was unrecognizable. Of the original force, over 40 cartel fighters already lay dead, their bodies strewn among burning hulks. 6 more vehicles exploded in secondary detonations, narcotics igniting into toxic fireballs that turned sand into glass. The battle had become a massacre. The steel serpent that had once thundered with confidence was now reduced to charred skeletons of trucks, scattered limbs, and clouds of black smoke. The Americans had turned the canyon into a furnace, and the cartel into ash. 12:02 p.m. The desert fell quiet. The last burst of gunfire faded into the smoke, leaving only the crackle of burning steel. The canyon floor, once alive with the roar of 19 armored trucks, now resembled a graveyard of twisted hulks. Flames licked at shattered cabins. Pools of melted rubber seeped into the dirt. The air hung heavy with the bitter stench of chemicals, tons of narcotics reduced to ash. SEAL Team 6 moved cautiously among the wrecks, rifles sweeping left and right, clearing what little resistance remained. Commands barked in clipped whispers. Flashlights cut through black smoke. Every gunman still clutching a weapon was neutralized without hesitation. Those who dropped their rifles were bound, hands zip-tied, faces pressed into the sand. When the smoke began to thin, the numbers emerged. 53 cartel fighters killed, 27 taken alive. All 19 vehicles destroyed or captured. The figures were chilling in their clarity, the kind of arithmetic only war produces. Of the 80 men who had crossed the border's shadow that morning, not one escaped. The haul was staggering. Packed into reinforced compartments, investigators recovered over 7.2 tons of narcotics, a seizure valued at more than $420 million. A single convoy capable of poisoning entire cities. DEA agents flown in minutes after the firefight documented every crate, sealed every sample. Portable floodlights lit the canyon like a stage, exposing blackened chassis, scattered shell casings, and piles of scorched contraband. Casualties for U.S. forces were almost non-existent, not a single American killed. Only 2 SEAL operators sustained minor wounds, one from flying glass, another from shrapnel, both evacuated swiftly by HH-60W rescue helicopters. Compared to the obliteration below, it was nothing short of miraculous. At 12:18 p.m., the ceasefire order was confirmed. The AC-130J peeled away, its mission complete. The Reaper drone climbed back to altitude, maintaining overwatch as reinforcements secured the perimeter. In the command center at Davis-Monthan, the final tally scrolled across 12 glowing screens, delivered in cold military shorthand: 53 KIA, 27 detained, 19 vehicles neutralized, 0 U.S. fatalities. For the cartel, the canyon had been a road to profit. Instead, it became a tomb. For the United States, it was more than just a tactical win. It was a demonstration, a warning, that no matter how powerful, no matter how brazen, any force crossing the line would be met with overwhelming precision. As the midday sun bore down on the smoldering wreckage, the message was clear. America does not just fight back, it erases. The July 12, 2025 ambush in the Arizona desert was not just a firefight with a cartel convoy. It was a demonstration of what happens when America chooses patience over haste, precision over chaos. From the first seismic sensor ping to the last shell fired by the Ghost Rider, every move had been calculated to the meter and to the second. The near disaster, when a detonator failed and suspicion almost spread through the convoy, only made the outcome more significant. Even when perfection faltered, U.S. forces adapted in seconds, proving why they are the most lethal and disciplined in the world. The final tally told the truth in numbers too cold to argue with. 53 cartel gunmen killed, 27 captured alive, 19 vehicles neutralized, and over 7.2 tons of narcotics seized. Not a single American fatality. The capture of key lieutenants and the destruction of hundreds of millions of dollars in cartel product delivered a crippling blow to their network. For the cartel, the myth of invincibility at the border shattered in less than 30 minutes. For the United States, it was proof once again that true strength lies not in firing first, but in waiting for the perfect moment, striking so hard and so fast that the enemy never fires back. This ambush will be studied in tactical manuals for years to come, a textbook example of intelligence, coordination, and overwhelming firepower, and a message carved into the desert. If you cross America's red line, whether in jungle, sea, or sand, you will face its full might, with no way back. Leave your comments and subscribe to the channel, because there are many more secrets we want to discover with you.